subscribe and like the video. He's the person that actually even head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Greg Kazar, endorsed as well, which I asked him directly why he did that. So Brad Lander is the current New York City comptroller, okay? And he's not a bad guy by any means, okay? As far as like running for New York mayor, he's not a bad guy by any means, all right? But right now, there is clearly a much more valid opponent to Cuomo. He's not, but not pro-Palestine. Yeah, he's a lib. He's a liberal Zionist. He's not. I'm saying like adjusted to normal circumstances. If Zoran wasn't running, if Zoran wasn't in the running, you wouldn't even entertain that. You would be like, there's no one on there aside from Zoran that's like a committed anti-Zionist, which is ironic because people are still saying that Zoran is not a committed anti-Zionist either. Zoran is a committed anti-Zionist. In any case, what? From the Breakfast Club interview yesterday? What? You want me to watch a 57-minute interview with David Hogg on the Breakfast Club? That's crazy. Didn't he say Israel has a right to defend itself? Who? Zoran? No, he did not say that. No, they asked him if Israel has a right to exist, and he gave the classic, like, yes, Israel has a right to exist. No, he didn't say, I don't think he said Israel has a right to defend itself. What the? No, he just said Israel has a right to exist, which is, again, not the best answer. Dude, stop. Why do we always do this? Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Dude, you have to give more allowances to politicians that you know are on your side. Okay, that's it. Because you have to adjust it, not to like what the audiences look like, not to what the actual voter base looks like, but instead what the average, like how American politics works. Okay, that's it. And as time allows, as opinions shift, you can be more open about your perspective if time permits. Okay, if the environment permits. Like, you have to be normal. Is being signal boosted by ops to get Zoran support down? That tweet went viral with it. Had posts a few days later, a protester yelling at him and calling you anti-Semitic. Yeah, I know. Our leaders have to have a commitment to the truth, and they have to lead. They have to be unafraid of leading, okay? And a part of that is to sometimes say things that might come across as scary. But as long as you have the courage, as long as you say the truth, as long as you have the courage to say the truth, I think you will win more favors than you think. That's it. How is this any different than the lesser evil argument? Because this person is running for office, dude. A lot of people, I think, who despise bourgeois elections don't understand. They on the one hand will despise the duopoly within the bourgeois democratic process that exists in this country, while simultaneously expecting politicians that are running in those races to not even remotely try to tailor their messaging to an audience. Like, I'm sorry, you have to adjust your expectations to the average, okay? The average. What is the average position? I said this back then when his response was, that Israel has a right to exist. I said, like, the correct response to this, and I think someone like Zoran should, have a better response for this, obviously, considering, where we are at this point. It was like 19 months into this. Having said that, however, okay, he is a Muslim dude running for mayor of New York. Like, what are we talking about? It's not everyone has the same allowances. Brad Lander, okay, who is Jewish, could literally scream from the mountaintops that the Zionist entity must be dismantled piece by piece if he wanted to. Bernie Sanders could say the same. Straight up, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. This is an allowance that American Jews have that a Muslim doesn't. Wake up, okay? Jesus Christ. Some of y'all act like we don't live in the real world, Politicians already have a different set of standards, but it's crazy. No, you can say, listen. if an American Jewish person says something like that, and then all of the like Israel advocacy groups turn around and go, oh, this Jew is a Jew hater or whatever, right? He's anti-Semitic. No American is going to comprehend that. Americans are not smart enough to even understand that there can be anti-Semitic Jews, like Stephen Miller, for example. Okay. They don't understand that. So it's like using that stupidity to your advantage. Do you understand me? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Americans don't look at that and go, a token Jew, I guess. Like, they don't think about it like that. That's why Candace Owens gets so much play being a black woman who says the most white supremacist shit. Do you understand me? Her entire job is to be that person, to put a black face on white supremacist statements. My opinion on it at the time, my statement on it at the time was like, look, the real answer to this is that no state has a right to exist. This is no different than saying, does not Germany have a right to exist? Or does apartheid South Africa have a right to exist? You know, does Rhodesia have a right to exist? No state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist. Israel already exists as a state. Okay? And no, Israel, in its current formation as a genocidal apartheid state, does not have a right to exist. It's a criminal enterprise. But I think in that moment, someone like Zoran, as a visible Muslim brown socialist guy, is making a calculation, a different calculation than someone like yourself or someone like myself. I am much more forgiving of people toning down their rhetoric, especially if they're running for office. That's my point. I said no state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist. Germany had no right to exist, neither did Rhodesia. Israel is an apartheid state doing it, has no right to exist in its current formation. Wait, what the I actually replied to my own tweet, but where is it? Now do China and Russia? He's definitely paid. I actually replied to this post, but I can't even find it. But Twitter is so broken that it's like you can't even see anything correctly. I always defer to the Mohammed El Kurd tweet on this. Yeah, here. He said, just in case you didn't know, Israel has a right to exist as a racist anti-Palestinian dog whistle, which implies the extermination of the Palestinian people. It was crafted and popularized by the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and repeating it verbatim today as a was waged is especially egregious and akin to saying Germany had a right to exist while it was carrying out the Holocaust. I cannot for the life of me figure out why any self-respecting Palestinian or Arab would let such a degrading remark slide without question, even if, and particularly when it is from an ally we have to put our support behind and trust in. And no, I am not allergic to power. I'm allergic to indignity. Though I thought it's implied, let me clarify, I do hope Zoran wins the mayoral race because that's in the best interest of the working class New Yorkers. Also, no progressive politician should be repeating Zionist talking points in 2025. Two things can be true. Critique does not equal cancellation. Yeah, I said, this was my response to my own tweet. I said, also, I like Zoran a lot. I don't think anyone has to play these games anymore, but maybe the boomer electorate of New York City is not equipped to hear that from a Muslim mayoral candidate. You know, it's insidiously vague because saying it has no right to exist is implied to mean that you want to end all the people that currently live there, which obviously has no nuance whatsoever. Exactly. Anyway, yeah, Mike from PA had a good take on this. Yes, exactly. When he was on Noah's stream the other day, I saw it as well. You can't expect people running for major office to say the right thing all the time. It's better to know if they're a sympathizer versus an opportunist, and Zoran is very much a sympathizer. Exactly. There are two different types of politicians. You have sympathizers and you have phonies, okay? Opportunists. Opportunists are people like Fetterman. Fetterman is an opportunist, okay? An opportunist adorns or adopts the aesthetics of like revolutionary politics or socialist politics, or says that they actually care, but they actually don't care. And then you have sympathizers who the expectation is that they will moderate their tone when running for office. Okay, Richie Torres is an opportunist. Kirsten Sinema was an opportunist. Cory Booker used to be an opportunist back in the day. He doesn't even do that anymore. Obama, opportunist. Most politicians are opportunists. And then you have the unique politician that is a committed person. Okay, I think Zoran is committed. He is, I guess, a sympathizer, if you want to call it that. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know why we're relitigating this every time I bring this up. Look, I'm as big as an AOC defender as they come, but it is worrying that there has not been even a mention of this campaign by her and Bernie, and even more problematic that our office is a black box where we don't know what the f is going on. Half of the cuties of the Olbermann Zoran endorsement aren't happy people. They're complaining about AOC. A lot of you aren't even into socialism or progressivism or whatever the richest field for negative complainers you were naturally drawn to. Listen, we need more party discipline, and her refusing to endorse in her city is just insane. I say this as someone who isn't an AOC obsessive. Is she refusing? I don't know that. I think she's doing it on the same schedule she does any citywide endorsement for someone who is maxed out. The problem is Zoran is not maxed out. That's precisely the reason why she should be actually endorsing him. And she has made other citywide endorsements already. Oh, he means fundraising. Oh, okay. Well, there are other... Okay. Oh, my bad. I misunderstood. Zoran is maxed out on fundraising. That's correct. Okay. Having said that, however, no. There's something much more important than fundraising. That is name recognition. It's not. Zoran is maxed out on the fundraising, but he is not maxed out on the name recognition. AOC is a nationally recognized, very popular New York politician. Okay? Her word at this stage would be incredible. Okay? The most impact, the maximum impact that you could have to potentially even swing this election in Zoran's favor would be to hold a goddamn New York rally, one of those like fight the oligarchy rallies, and then endorse Zoran and have Zoran speak at that New York rally. If there was a Bernie AOC rally in New York and then they endorsed Zoran and they had Zoran speak, oh my Lord, the AOC #1 endorsement would absolutely close this gap. And unlike Wiley last time, who went from underwater to almost winning, Zoran already has run by far the strongest campaign and will be able to do much more to maximize his impact with voters. Conversely, a non-#1 endorsement will ensure the press focuses mainly on the fact that it wasn't a #1 endorsement, saying like rank Zoran as #1. That is the word. Those are the words that need to come out of AOC and Bernie Sanders' mouth, but especially AOC. I hate these dipshits, by the way. This guy is like a massive Israel dick rider. I see him constantly. I hate these goddamn liberals. Mamdani would make a bad mayor in the Brandon Johnson mold. If she endorses and he loses, she has the stink of his loss on her. If she endorses and he wins, she's tainted by association to his inevitably terrible tenure as mayor. I hate these guys, man. These guys just want to lose, you know? Or not, they want to lose. They just don't want the left to win. I know she met in person with Lander and Mamdani. I know. A while back, like a couple weeks ago. AOC meetings with Lander and Mamdani spurred talk of possible mayoral endorsement. And considering the Congressional Progressive Caucus leader, Greg Kazar, early on endorsed Brad Lander, while simultaneously saying Zoran would be great, but like endorse Brad Lander, I am worried that AOC is going to do some like this, which is, it's loser shit, okay? It is straight up loser shit. We don't ride the polar coaster, but oh my God, first round 27, last round 44%. And most importantly for organizers, that's with 33% not knowing who Zoran Mamdani is. The ceiling is so high. Oh, and this is the other side of the Zoran conversation. All of these yimbys, Zoran, much like many progressive figureheads, has a yimby sympathetic campaign. He is Mr. Dezoning, okay? He is an advocate for for building more housing. That is a pivotal part of his campaign promises. And yet all of these abundance aligned political commentators are anti-Zoran. So much so that they are quite literally saying they might even endorse Eric Adams. Once again, this kind of stuff is quite literally a perfect demonstration that these guys and their position is just anti-left. That's it. They're just anti-left charlatans, and that's the only thing they care about. Honestly, might pick Adams, and I do not like Adams much at all. The wire fraud, bribery accepting, witness tampering, evidence destroying guy who sold out to Trump to get charges dropped against him, resulting in his resignation of multiple U.S. attorneys in protest over the lefty who supports some rent control along with many YIMBY policies. I do not believe Zoran would support YIMBY policies in any meaningful way. You're right. I'm sure the bribery guy will be much more likely to take on NIMBYs than the socialist guy. A YIMBY is a yes in my backyard. A NIMBY is not in my backyard. It's the people that want to deregulate housing and engage in, like, some of the aspects of YIMBYism are correct in terms of like the necessity for more housing that needs to be built. A lot of that movement, unfortunately, is also libertarian adjacent. If you are a YIMBY, but you're also pro real estate developers, pro capital, then you are an unserious person. If you are NIMBYs, on the other hand, can be conservatives that don't want, black and brown people or poor people in their neighborhood, and also people who are anti-gentrification initiatives. Both YIMBYs can be of the leftist variety or hyper right wing, and NIMBYs are the same as well. You can have leftist NIMBYs, or you can have incredibly right wing NIMBYs. It just means, like, do you want more building? In the most basic ways to explain it. In the most reductive terms, do you want to build more housing or not? Okay, so, but a lot of these guys, the abundance faction, Mamdani triangulates a bunch of YIMBY policy, but they don't care about that and decide to back a felonious, unregistered foreign agent crook who's being extorted by the Trump admin to crack down on immigrants. And that's because they actually are going to vote for Andrew Cuomo. They just don't want to say it out loud. Okay? Because there is functionally no difference between Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. They are both incredibly right-wing, incredibly crooked figures of New York politics at this point, and there is no difference between them. They are both literally, like, Andrew Cuomo already is open to the same exact line of attack and the same exact line of control that Trump implemented against Eric Adams. He already has a DOJ court case that was announced. So it is identical. Okay. So when I see people go, I don't know about this. Here's where I'm at on the New York City race more broadly, says Matthew Iglesias. It's not just that one guy from the Center for New Liberalism. It's this guy speaking at the Welcome Pack conference too. Given a choice between a leader on the left who supports a bunch of YIMBY policies or stuffing the left, they pick a bribe-taking, Trump-extorted puppet mayor. Here's where I'm at on the New York City mayor more broadly, says Matthew Iglesias, egg boy himself. Polling right now suggests the final round of RCV in the New York City mayoral election will come down to Andrew Cuomo or Zohran Mamdani, two deeply flawed options for abundance-focused moderates. After ranking better top-line options like Zellner or Myrie, who would you rank fifth between Cuomo and Mamdani to ensure your vote has meaning in the final round? Among the top two, I think Cuomo is a bad choice and Mamdani is a disastrous choice. I would support Eric Adams in the general election. Like, he thinks Mamdani is worse than Andrew Cuomo. Egg boy will be Republican in 8 years or less. He already is, man. He already is. Just weird how the red line for libs when it comes to voting always comes down to left-wing policies. I know. I'm sorry, but if you don't like Zohran Mamdani and you're like one of these guys who's like, I want to build more housing, then you're not a serious person at all. Just look at the difference in favorability here. What is this goddamn link that you sent me, dude? The YouGov poll. I couldn't even. It's getting blocked automatically by. Just send me the normal YouGov link instead of sending it to me through a tiny URL. Yeah, what Americans think of 120 political leaders. Wait, hold on. There was the difference in favorability. Cuomo -4, AOC and Bernie 61 and 75 among Dem voters. Andrew Cuomo, 69% awareness, -30 net favorability. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Democrats. Obama has a +86 net favorability. Kamala Harris 84. Bernie Sanders 75. Biden 70. Ugh, gross. Tim Walz 61. Walz is followed by AOC +61, who is the only Democrat in the top 10 who hasn't run for president or vice president. Also in the top 10 after Ocasio-Cortez are Hillary Clinton. Oh, gross. God. Elizabeth Warren 58, Cory Booker 52, Pete Buttigieg 51. The survey was conducted before Booker's 25-hour speech on the Senate floor. Further down in the ranking is a former Democratic House Leader Pelosi +38. Schumer, Adams is -26, and Cuomo is -1. Are the only two Democratic politicians in our survey who have a negative net favorability among Democrats. Great. The Obama propaganda is crazy. I genuinely didn't even realize he sucked until I became a fan of yours, and all my friends still think he's perfect. Yeah, I know. Anyway. It's just it is ridiculous. All right, let's see what David Hogg was saying at this Breakfast Club interview, talking to the largest advocate for resistance liberalism, woke activist Charlemagne the God.
Of course, there are challenges with Democratic leadership, but what I would say is, especially in the case of somebody like Hakeem Jeffries, let's get him the majority so we can see what he can actually do with that majority in the first place.
He's not going to do anything. I can see. Here's the thing, and I treat it like anything else, right? Like, you know how they say money doesn't change you; it just multiplies whatever you already are. More power is not going to change these people. If you're a coward with no power, you're going to be a coward with power. We've seen plenty of Democrats who have power who are still cowards. Hakeem ain't going to do nothing different with power.
Well, I think if
with
we
more power?
I think if we have the right people elected that are out there, they're going to be able. Ultimately, sometimes it's not.
I cannot believe this man endorsed both Mayor Michael Bloomberg for president and then Pete Buttigieg. He is so correct sometimes and so off the mark on other moments. It is shocking. Okay. Just remember that man right there endorsed Michael Bloomberg and then Pete Buttigieg. He is, oh my Lord. I mean, it's kind of makes sense because he's such a, he is like the perfect liberal.
Not a matter of what you want to do. When you have to get elected to those positions within the House, for example, if we get more people elected that are saying, no, this is not enough, we have to fight harder, that we're not just going to stick in our positions of power forever. And we're going to say to you, for example, that if we're going to vote for you, this is what we want to see, because obviously he has to be elected to be the majority speaker of the House.
Yeah.
By having some more of those young people that are on the front lines of these issues of addressing that, I know in those internal deliberations that it's not so much a matter of what he wants to do. It's more a matter of if he wants to get elected, he is going to have to be able to fight harder. And I know that those young people will push him to do that. And if they feel like he's not going to, then they won't vote for him.
Oh God, we're so cooked. Every time I look at the Democratic Party, I just feel like we're incredibly cooked. Oh, this was awesome. This tweet is going crazy, by the way. Hasan Asmongold dichotomy is fascinating. The left's big streamer has a poli-sci degree and does real activism. Even then, he's pretty divisive on the left. The right's a guy who played Warcraft and lives in rotten animal flesh who has something to say, basically Jesus to them. This guy turns around and says, charisma, empathy, and self-reflection. You said it yourself. Hasan is divisive even on the left. Is it really hard to like us? It is really hard to like Hasan even for the left. Meanwhile, Asmongold is just a guy who keeps streaming for his audience. Just turns out most of his audience is a bunch of old people who play or used to play video games and end up leaning to the right in politics. Asmon does well when it comes to appear close to his audience. He's just one of them. His audience can self-reflect on some of his behavior. Of course, not many agree with. It's okay to be a filthy roach, but Asmon has effectively turned that into a meme and laughs about it. Hasan, on the other hand, gets called a rich millionaire living in a mansion and gets annoyed by it. And also is hard for people to see themselves close to that. Yeah. Just some like real truth, real criticism. Oh, never mind. Turns out career hater is always like this. Famously, old people use Twitch. Yes, Asmongold's audience probably is either similar to mine in age or even older, potentially. Also, no one lives in the same circumstances as Asmongold. Like, literally no one. He polled it. It's much older than yours. Considering that all of the people that come in here from Asmongold's stream, the shit on me, are oftentimes accounts created in like 2013. I am confident in stating that, yes, most of his diehard Fedayeen are 35 plus. His audience is brigading Fear and videos, by the way. Wait, what the fuck is this? Am I going crazy, or the Fear and comment section is being brigaded by people pretending to be fans of the podcast? All the criticism of the episode is valid, but I was reading recent comments and people demanding that they kick Hasan out of the pod or that Cutie should leave. Y'all have to get Hasan off the cast. I love this show, but the things Hasan has been promoting and applauding is nothing short of hateful. I love this cast, but ignoring Hasan, how Hasan has been outside this episode is unexcusable. I believe people can have their... These people are so stupid. That's how you know they're not real fans. Dude, people being like, I'm a big fan of the Fear End podcast, which is shot, of course, in a totally separate location and not the room next to this room where I'm streaming. But supporting blatant terror and denying the torture of women, children, and men with just pigs or didn't have an attitude is morally fucked. If anything, I'm surprised Cutie's able to see past his behavior and attend the show, especially with how rude he is towards her. Guys, big fan. He's also a Jake Weber subscriber, which is shocking because Jake also loves me. So I don't know. I think they're just going after all the Fear End crew because even Will's VOD channel is getting stupid comments now. Yeah. Kick Hasan off the podcast in his own house is giving the same energy as deport Hasan back to New Jersey. Yeah. Hasan, my 14 subscriber clip channels even being brigaded. They have no life. Yeah, it is shocking how much these guys are jobless. I think I am partially an advocate for a federal jobs guarantee and a federal work program so that these guys have something to, busy themselves with instead of just like stalking and brigading all day, every day. It would be very beneficial for the economy. It would be beneficial for them. and it would be beneficial for me as well. It's a win-win-win-win-win, you know? Righties are very persistent with their brigading. It's all they have because reality isn't on their side. I know. They're trying to do their own version of a cancel culture, but they don't realize the reason cancel culture was a thing was because most of them actually did bad stuff. Exactly. I don't think you can will a cancellation upon someone who hasn't done anything that is even remotely wrong. Like, you can try to massage the narrative to the best of your ability, and there are communities that will entertain it, communities that are already like right-wing adjacent. But most people are not going to, most people are not going to do that. Most people aren't going to be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. As a big Cutie fan and a perma watcher here, I'm pretty sure Cutie is more rude towards you than the opposite. Exactly. To be fair, I've never disliked you more than when you were being a cunt to Cutie. Yeah, it's called Make It Content, dumbass. I don't know if you know this is a 13-month subscriber, but we are good friends. I don't know. Have you... Yeah, but onions are toxic. Oh my God, we're not having this. They are not my coworkers. They are my friends, okay? I don't know if you know this, but friction is a big part of making entertaining content and commentary. If there is no friction, then that clip, that hour-long episode that we just did, for the record, they're talking about the latest episode of the Fear On podcast.